Hey everyone, it's Adam Tracy, and I was doing a Twitter Spaces last week, and the question came up as to whether cash, like physical currency, was illegal or at least frowned upon. And it's decidedly not illegal. It's perhaps becoming more frowned upon, but it's still legal tender, and obviously the backbone of our economy in some way, shape, or form. And it does trigger, nevertheless, a series of requirements that range from those applicable to money service businesses to those that range to like you and me, right? So, what are those? The general rule, outside of a myriad of intricate ones, which is probably the subject of another video, is transactions involving 10,000 or more, right? Withdrawals, deposits, payments, foreign exchange transactions, things of that nature, right? That will trigger the requirement to file a CTR. Similarly, multiple transactions within a 24-hour period that add up to 10,000 or more also trigger the filing of a CTR. Money, cashier's checks, money orders, or certified checks, right, which are in the aggregate or by themselves over 10,000 also trigger the filing of a currency transaction report. Finally, if there is a deliberate attempt to evade the 10,000 limit so as to avoid the reporting, and this is called structuring, which is a crime, where someone goes in over a series of days and is constantly withdrawing $9,999, right? That requires the filing of a CTR as well as the filing of a suspicious activity report. And in all of those four cases that I just mentioned, in addition, there is an IRS Form 8300, which needs to be filed in accordance therewith. Now, as a money service business, you absolutely have to do that, okay? But if you are engaged as a non-money service business, but are somehow engaged in an activity related to the transmission of cash, what have you, which it's very hard to kind of pick those out in so much that they would all require a license, but there are like de minimis exceptions at the state level and things like that. You also have an obligation to file a CTR and a Form 8300, right? Not a SARS, but a CTR and Form 8300. And the interesting thing about the Form 8300, which is the IRS form, is that it covers the span of any 12-month period. So if one individual, right, and it also excludes the nature of your business. So let's say you are selling a car and somebody is going to give you $12,000 cash every month for the purchase price of $12,000. Well, that would trigger your requirement as a non-money service business, just plain old guy trying to sell a car, to file a Form 8300, which details those payments, the timing of the payments, the purpose of the payments, and all that. And you have 15 days from the date upon which you cross the $10,000 threshold to file the Form 8300. And so what's the practical implication of it? Really very little, right? Very little. The biggest implication is when you don't do it, right? And if you go back, there was, prior to sort of the easing of state level gaming laws and the New Jersey decision, which kind of opened it up, you would see a lot of like gaming touts and guys and even some like quasi influencers in like Vegas who would like place bets and they would take in cash, right? And like they weren't reporting that because in their mind it was like, I'm just placing the bet because I'm in Las Vegas and I can do it, right? And whoever the client was, maybe in Nebraska, and they didn't have the ability to do it. And what happened is, since all casinos are money service businesses, well, they would report that and who made the bet. And then FinCEN could, and the IRS, which is obviously FinCEN is a subset of, could sort of reconcile and say, well, Bill made $100,000 worth of cash bets over, a period of a month, but we know Bill, didn't make it for his own account. So why wasn't Bill filing a Form 8300 and a CTR? So that's really where the issue becomes. So filing one, and even filing a SARS, like I've talked about before, there's so many SAR, it doesn't create red flags per se, right? I mean, obviously the name of the form itself is, somewhat indicative of what it means, but not really. But the filing of one doesn't actually trigger any action, right? It's just this sort of compliance and, regulatory requirement in which if you deal in cash in any way, shape, or form, it doesn't hurt to just do it. It's a very basic, kind of simple thing. You can't really do wrong. And the Form 8300 is very simple as well. So, and it doesn't always implicate you in the sense that you're just the one accepting the cash, right? You don't have to file it if you're the one paying the cash. So that's my take. It's not illegal, right? Talk about CBDCs and all that kind of stuff, and that's a whole nother soapbox to get on. But as of right now, it's not even frowned upon. It's just there are reporting requirements that go along with it, and you have to be wary of those whether or not you are a registered money service business, money transmitter, and the like. So, any questions on cash handling and the like, definitely hit me up, Adam@adamtracy.io. Talk to you next time. Cheers.